Okay, there we go. Good, good, good. So, well, good morning. It is so good to be here. Kim, thank you so much for having me. And everybody, I'm so glad that you joined us. I think this is really cool to bring together, people from different backgrounds and industries. And it's a real synergistic effect. We start learning from each other and get ideas. And I think ideas spark other ideas. So this is great. I knew Kim was doing these things, but I'm just kind of blessed and excited here. So I'm going to do what I do every day, and that's teach financial literacy and share the tools and products and services that are typically reserved for the top 5% of Americans. I'm going to zero in on one particular tool today, as I had an idea of who might be here on this meeting. But it's going to be a tool that the wealthy, corporations, banks, they're all using to safely grow, protect, and leverage virtually unlimited tax advantage funds. And I'm going to show you how you can do this and increase your earnings in, say, if you're in real estate or investing in real estate or just being a person in life, how you can increase those earnings from an extra 3 to 5% in addition to the interest savings that you would have on money that you would otherwise be borrowing elsewhere. So I'm going to go over this. Kim told me about 30 minutes. I'm going to present, and then we're going to have time for Q&A. So make a note of any questions that you might have. You're going to go, holy cats, what is this? Or some of you may be familiar with some of the things I'm going to share, and some of you may say, what the heck is this? So I want you to think about something for a minute. What if you could use the same dollar not just once or twice, but maybe even 3 or 4 times, got to use that dollar 3 or 4 times. And that kind of sounds too good to be true, right? And if it is actually true, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, there's a huge lack of financial literacy, financial education in this country. It's just not being taught. I've got a friend who has her master's in finance, and you'd think she would have learned a thing or two, and she learned some things, but the things that she learned were kind of how to be that real professional, high-level bean counter and bean mover in corporations and things like that. And she didn't learn important foundational rules of money like the rule of 72. She'd never heard of it. So I'm going to be sharing some of those basic things with you. It's the lack of financial education in our schools, and there's actually a lot of bias in the industry. So today I'm going to be sharing, we've got a lot of tools. I've got a lot of tools in my tool belt, but I'm going to focus in on one in particular, and it is a tool. It is not an investment. I'm not sharing an investment with you. This is a tool that's going to allow you to leverage and do all these things that I'm talking about. And that tool is cash value life insurance. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about and your heart just sank a little bit, like, what? I'm just going to say, buckle up, hang on. It gets really good. I promise. I promise. So some of you may have heard of concepts such as infinite banking, bank on yourself, family bank, secret 7702 plans. You ever hear of anything like that out there? And it's made to sound like it's this secret and it's just a few people know about it. And the fact is, it is kind of like only a few people know about it, but it's not. I want to say it's not some kind of secret. They say the best place to hide a secret is by putting it in a book. It's a long time. My internet state just got a little unstable notice. Am I good? Am I out, or am I okay? Uh-oh.
It's kind of
I'm
choppy.
unstable. I am choppy. If I get too choppy, I will go to my phone and do it from here. I've done that before. So just interrupt if I do. But when I talk about the wealthy, I am not against the wealthy. I am all about leveling the playing field, though. I'm bringing those tools, products, and services to everybody, right? So with cash value life insurance, this is the engine, right? When you hear infinite banking, family bank, secret 7702 plans, all of those are marketing terms. That's all they are. And the term I'm going to use is legacy banking. But the engine behind it is this cash value life insurance. And it comes in 2 different flavors. Okay. There's whole life and index universal life. And you're going to find camps that are either they are whole life or they are IUL, Index Universal Life. And I'm going to try to show you a little bit of each and shed a light on the differences of them. So if you hear somebody talking infinite bank, you know they're talking about whole life insurance. But there is this next generation product called an IUL, Index Universal Life. And I'll share the pros and cons so you can kind of see the differences for yourself and how they can be an incredible tool to leverage, whether you're in the multifamily real estate investing world, whether you're a business owner, whether you're just a simple human being that wants to learn how to handle their money more and how to leverage their money more. I will say I tend to be in the IUL camp with the caveat that there can be a time and place for everything, maybe, but I'll show you the differences and let you decide for yourself. So let's go ahead and get started, and I hopefully have it. I do. All right. So legacy bank, again, that is just a marketing term, but why life insurance? Why life insurance? This is something you can Google and look up. U.S. bank locations, banks rated by life insurance assets. Okay. Bank of America is showing that it has got over 24 billion with a B, $24 billion in life insurance assets. This list right here, this is just the first 25. This goes on for hundreds, okay, hundreds of banks. Where are the wealthy? Where are banks? Where are corporations putting their money? They're putting it in here. This is one of the places, right? Life insurance assets are known as tier one capital. And the more tier one capital a bank has, the more stable it is rated. Okay, so, but it's not just banks, like I said, corporations as well. They, 68% of Fortune 500 companies fund their retirement plans through the use of these life insurance assets. So, but let me ask you something. When is a bank going to die? Anybody ever thought about that? Like, why would a bank have all this life insurance? When's a bank going to die? Well, they're not, right? So they're using them for something else. They're using them for growth, for safety, for protection, to be able to leverage, to have a virtually unlimited tax advantage bucket. This is why they're using them. It's so common that they each have a name. So bank-owned life insurance is BOLI, B-O-L-I, and corporate-owned life insurance, COLI. That's how common it is that it has its own name. So where a person puts their money is going to give them certain advantages and disadvantages of it. You don't have to have millions and billions of dollars to be able to use these tools, right? I'm going to take it down to the individual level, just like a little more of an average person, a little more of an investor type person. But there are advantages and disadvantages to each of the places. So of course we use banks, right? We've got that liquid money. We need that. It's got to be protected and no risk. But when you look at some of the drawbacks, there can be a lot of them. The indexing strategies here on the far right side, that is going to be, again, I'm going to be zeroing in on that Index Universal Life policy and show you how that works. I'm going to be showing you how to leverage money. So the life insurance itself, it provides protection. It provides a shelter. Sometimes I refer to the life insurance as like a wrapper around a pot of money. So the life insurance is providing a shelter from the IRS. These are post-tax dollars that have gone in here. So all their growth and their disbursements, it's tax-free, right? Tax-free distributions, tax-free legacy, no age limits. I teach a webinar, I teach a class. I'm going to be doing it again this Thursday evening if anybody's interested in that. It's called The Truth About the 401k. I just saw Grant Cardone. Who was he speaking to? I'll have to look it up, but he was talking to somebody who said they had hundreds of thousands of dollars. They had a ton of money in their 401k. And Grant Cardone said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. He's like, why? This is great. I've got it all in there. And he's like, yeah, you just locked up your money for 30 years. So where are these places that we can put our money, right? Without the age limitations, without that 59 and a half, or without that, they keep changing the age. It used to be 70 and a half, and now it's 72, without that required minimum distribution age either. What if money in this account, in this life insurance, could be protected? legal protected. This is a protected asset class. And what is it protected from? Index universal life. And I'll show you what index means. That means it's protected from market loss. So you're going to get the upside of the market protection. So no market loss. It is protected from creditors and predators, and especially anybody in this age, in this society. A predator is somebody who wants to sue you. So this is a protected asset class. It is protected from probate avoidance, because insurance products have beneficiaries named to them. So it's going to be protected from probate. And why is that such a big deal? Because probate costs time and money and a whole lot of heartache for your family. So a couple examples I have for you, well, one of them on probate in particular, Chadwick Boseman, and I could name person after person. Maureen Prince died without a will, without anything. But the estates go through probate then. But Chadwick Boseman passed away. He was the actor from Black Panther, and he was in the movie 42, which was a great movie. And he did not have those things in place. So his estate, $3.8 million, went through probate. And it took about 3 years for it all to be settled. And out of that $3.8 million, his widow received $1.15 million. His parents received $1.15 million. The state probate, estate taxes, all the rest of it, $1.5 million went to that. So what if we could preserve our legacy? What if we could preserve that estate and make sure that that money goes to where we want it to go, right? Now, I'm going to tell you another use. There are a lot of uses to these IULs, Index Universal Life, as you're beginning to see. So anybody, any football fans, college football, think about the University of Michigan, and they had Jim Harbaugh was the coach. And he got paid really, really, really well, $2 million a year. But the University of Michigan paid him that $2 million a year in the loans that did not have to be repaid during his lifetime. How does it get repaid then? Well, with the use of these policies, the University of Michigan paid him all that money. I'm going to do this. Kim, what is your Zoom, your phone number? Just in case.
Is it on my phone number?
Yeah, or is it a different number?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. I
never even use the Zoom numbers.
I'll get it from my email. Hang on.
Okay. Because we can totally hear you, but your face wasn't moving. It was frozen.
Oh, well, I hope it wasn't an awkward face.
No, it wasn't. It actually landed on a good face. So that's
good.
worse.
I'll tell you what, how about, I'm going to turn my camera off. I'm so sorry, but that'll hopefully save some bandwidth. And
yeah,
stop video. All right. So you can still hear me. Maybe that'll be a little bit better.
Yes.
All right. So University of Michigan paid Jim Harbaugh $14 million. So $2 million a year for 7 years. That money does not have to be repaid because that was his pay. When he passes away, all that money was wrapped up in a life insurance policy. The University of Michigan is going to get all their money back. How brilliant is that for an educational institution, or for really any business or any family, to get all that money back and have it be all tax-free? His family will be getting some of that as well, because it's going to be more than $14 million. But these are the kinds of things that a life insurance policy can do, a cash value life insurance policy. And like I said, there's a lot of tools in my tool belt, but we're just going to focus in on this one. But before I show you an example of how to use it, I want to go over these 2 rules of money. And I go over these with all of my clients in case they're not familiar with them. But money grows 3 different ways. So we've got fixed, variable, and indexed. And fixed would be, the example I give is like a bank. Of course, we need money there that's going to be liquid, that's going to be safe, but it is flatlining, right? Because typically a bank or fixed, it's going to be very limited in the growth. So when people think about growing their money, they're thinking, I'm going to invest this money, I'm going to grow it. And they typically go to the variable market. And examples of variable can be stock market, can be real estate, crypto, precious metals, all these things. And variable means it's up and down, like an EKG, really. And people hope for the high rate of return, and they can get it. They can make big money in the variable market, but it does come with risk, right? So it comes with the downturns. And my least favorite term is, oh, the market corrected itself. Well, why is it wrong to make money? No, don't tell me it corrected. So what I teach people is you don't have to trade away safety that you find over here in fixed for a growth opportunity that you have in variable. You can have them combined in a hybrid, and it's called an indexed strategy. So I'm sure most of you know that an index is a group of stocks like the S&P 500 or NASDAQ or Dow Jones. Those are groups of stocks. That is not what this is. An index strategy is money that is backed and guaranteed. Now, it's not money that's in the stock market, but it's going to mirror the market's growth. So as the market is growing, money in this account is growing. But when the market has its inevitable downturn or crash, that's when the index strategy locks in with a guaranteed floor so that no money is lost. But now, after the market goes down, what is it eventually going to do? It's going to go back up, right? And all the financial advisors will be shouting from the rooftops, it comes back, it always comes back. And I'll say, okay, all right, it comes back. But in the case of an index strategy, a person gets to grow their money from where they left off instead of making up for losses down here in the hole. So there is a time and place for all three of these. That's why we've got it all on our platform in my company. So of course we use banks. We need that liquid money. The variable money, that's got to be that play money. Nobody would walk into a casino, I would hope not, with all their life savings and lay it down on red. No, that's gambling money, the play money. What can we do with this? Safe, growing, liquid money. We can have liquidity over here too. The other impact on your money, another rule is taxes, because it's never about how much we get. It's about how much do we get to keep. So we can strategize for how our money is going to be taxed. A taxable account is anything that you're going to get a 1099 interest statement on right at the end of the year, like a bank account. Those are dollars that are going to be taxed every single year over and over. Tax deferred are those qualified accounts, typically like retirement type of accounts. They're qualified for tax deferment. Oftentimes they are kind of sold and promoted as, hey, you're going to save on taxes. And I have an issue with that, because no, you're not saving on taxes. What you're doing is you're kicking the can down the road to say, I'm going to pay those taxes later. And there can be a time and place for that. And then tax advantage is when the dollars are taxed right up front, and then the money grows tax-free and it comes out tax-free. And I typically tell a little story about a farmer buying a bag of seeds, when I'm illustrating the difference between tax deferred and tax advantage. And really, if we think of tax deferred, that's paying taxes on the harvest, okay? As opposed to tax advantage would be just paying taxes on the seed money. So it's going to be a difference in how much you pay over time. So let's show you an example of how you could leverage money that might be in a cash value life insurance policy. And I'm just going to use a nice round number because I like simple math. I think it illustrates easier. Let's say you've got $100,000 in an account that is liquid, that you can leverage. It's in this policy, and you want $50,000 because you've got an opportunity to invest, or to go on a vacation, or fix and flip, or whatever it is, whatever your use is. You can go into a policy like this and get your money out, $50,000, get it out without penalty, without tax. Now, well, why are you not going to be taxed on that? It's the same reason that you don't get taxed on a loan from the bank. That does not count as income. It is a loan, so you don't get taxed on the loan. But now, for it to be a loan, the insurance company does need to charge you some interest. So what they do, come on, let's go back. What they do is they are going to charge you 3% interest. In this example, I'm using an example from Nationwide Insurance. They really are on your side, right? So they're going to charge you 3% interest, but they're going to actually credit you the 3% interest as well. So what is that? That's a wash. So it's a free loan. It's a loan. You can access it. No tax, no penalty, no early withdrawal, none of that. That is a wash loan. And that is a thing that you can do with your money. But there's a really more interesting loan that can be available as well. This one has different names to it. It can be an alternative loan, a participating loan. For that loan, you're going to be charged 5%. Now, why would you want to pay 5% on a loan when you could have a 0% loan over here? This is where it gets good. This is where I say buckle up. So you can have this loan for 5% here, but they are not going to remove the $50,000 from the amount that is compounding. What does that mean? So again, for simple math's sake, let's say that this $100,000 that the index it's linked to performs at 10% that year. Oops, I keep clicking on the wrong way. Okay, it performs at 10% that year. So this account, the entire $100,000, as though it's all still there, is going to earn $10,000. Yay. But now remember, we did borrow 50. We need to pay that 5%, and the 5% of the 50,000 is $2,500. So that means we earned $7,500. What that means is that we actually earned the difference, right? We earned 5% on the money that we borrowed and used somewhere else. All right. Do you see how that is using the same dollar twice? We got to grow the money and use the money. And think about it. Hopefully using this money, you've invested it somewhere. You're making money on it somewhere else too. And you're making an extra 5% right here. Now that's using the same dollar twice. What if you would like to use it 3 times? There's a way. If this loan that you've taken out is used for a qualified business expense, such as if you had like a real estate investing LLC and you purchase property for that, or it could be for a different business purpose, right? That 5% now becomes tax deductible. So you are growing the dollar, you are using the dollar and making money on it somewhere else, and you're deducting the expenses on it. How do you like them apples? 3 times. And there are some companies that are going to put a little cherry on top of this whole deal and allow you to use it a 4th time. And that is, there are some carriers that allow you to pay your premiums. Maybe this $100,000 was all paid using a credit card. And so get a cashback credit card and you get that 2% back. Like Kim said early on, we're strategists. We're not just looking at things and saying, what kind of a big fat number can we arrive at the end? No, because we want to address things such as taxes, liquidity, opportunity cost. All of these are things that need to be taken into consideration. So this is how a cash value life insurance policy can be used, how we can leverage that money. And this is something else that's pretty cool. So let's say your worst case scenario in a situation like this, let's say that you borrowed the $50,000, and what if there wasn't a return? What if there was no return? What if it was a down year in the market? Well, the index strategy promises you that, all right, in a down year, you're not going to lose any money. You're not going to go backwards. You don't take the losses of the variable market. But if there's no gain, worst case scenario is you are paying 5% for that loan. Now, what if you looked at the economic horizon and said, man, there are some storm clouds on the horizon. I think the economy's bad. I think problems, and you're just, we get out our little crystal ball, right? No, don't you wish you had one? No. What if we think that things aren't going to be good and that the market isn't going to be growing? Well, with Nationwide, I'm just using them as an example. Like I said, they allow you to change the type of loan that you have up to once a year. So if you're expecting, hey, things aren't looking good, I don't think I'm going to make any money, you can switch to the wash loan. So when times are down, economic times are down, you're like, whoop, you're sitting pretty, you're not paying any interest on that loan. And then, because things are up and down, when things are on the upswing, go back to the participating loan. This is where we really get to strategize and make the most of the opportunity that we have. So whole life has a lot of these features too, but the account works differently. So I've got a little chart here that's going to go over just some of the differences that between whole life and IUL. And so first of all, the growth, the accumulation in a whole life, which is a cash value life insurance, right? And you can access the money The growth is linked to the dividends of the company. And I was looking up numbers last night, and the average dividend, and I actually did the math on this. There was a whole chart of all different companies reporting in and what they got over the years. And the average dividends recently, because things were up recently, is 5.45. But another article I read said the average dividend is between 1 and 3.5%. And now when you think about that, you're at that point, you're barely keeping up with inflation, right? If you just use 3% as a baseline, which, you know, that's the economic goal, that inflation is not more than 3%. But your whole life policy, it's just barely keeping up with inflation. Whole life has a higher cost of insurance, and I could go into detail and explain to you why and how they calculate the cost of insurance. If somebody has that question later, I can answer it. But it is a higher cost of insurance. But this is another key right here, is the loan provisions. With the whole life policy, when you want to access the cash value within there, the cost is going to be between 5 and 8% for that loan. That's supposed to be a dash, between 5 and 8%. They do not have the alternative no cost, low cost loans. They don't have the wash loans. And the death benefit, and this to me, this is another kicker, is the death benefit is not going to pay out the cash value in there. That to me is a kicker. There's several things on here, but there may be an occasional time when a whole life policy might be more appropriate. Age, funding, all of these things, purpose, all of those things are going to matter. So I don't like to give a blanket answer, but I pretty much lay in the IUL camp. So with an IUL, it's got more of a robust growth opportunity because the growth is linked to indexed strategies, right? Being linked to those upside of the market. The CAGR, the compound annual growth rate of the S&P, that's the actual return of the S&P. And over the last 30 years, it's been 10.7%. So the S&P is the world's most widely tracked index. If your account was linked to this index, see how you can show that this is more robust. It's a more robust growth opportunity. A time when somebody might say, no, I want whole life because they have a very strong need for certainty. Say, okay, I know I'm going to earn 4% over here. With the IUL, you might earn 4% one year, 0% one year, 25% another year. It's a matter of over time, this is going to have more robust growth. The IUL does have the lowest cost of permanent insurance, and the loan provisions can be 0%. I already explained that to you, like a wash loan, or we get those participating loans. And the death benefit, the cash that's in the policy is going to pay out to the beneficiary in addition to the life insurance wrapper, the amount of life insurance. So that is the death benefit, is the cash value plus the insurance. If there were any outstanding loans, that would be subtracted. That is how Jim Harbaugh's family in the University of Michigan are going to receive money when he passes away, is because the 14 million will go back to, that's the loan, right? The loan that he didn't have to pay back during his lifetime. They will receive the $14 million, and his family will receive whatever's left over after that as a death benefit, as a tax-free, tax advantage death benefit. And this is why the marriage between these two industries, the marriage between these tools, like using cash value life insurance in conjunction with like real estate investments, business, leveraging your business, scaling your business, or funding college, or becoming your own bank. These are why we use these policies. Now, using them, we can leverage it and earn that extra 3 to 5% over time. We're going to earn that extra on your money, but that is in addition to what you're saving had you had to go somewhere and borrow money for whatever your endeavor was. You've got the cost of that borrowing the money, but over here you don't have the cost of borrowing money. You're actually making money, and then you're using that to leverage. And so what would it look like? This little snippet right here is from, I use a tool on moneychimp.com, moneychimp, like the monkey. If you've never been to that site before, they've got some great calculators there. So again, I worked with a nice round number. I said, what if you had $100,000? You're putting that to work. That thing is working for you for 20 years. If you are averaging a 10% rate of return, we calculated it, and our future value is $672,749.99. Not too shabby. But what if we can get an extra 3%, right? We're leveraging our money. Well, that extra 3%, if it compounds at 13% instead of 10, good night, we have nearly doubled our money, nearly doubled. $1.152 million is what we're looking at. What if we could get a 5% rate of return on our money instead of the 10? We're just showing you how those stack up over time. $1.636 million. So this is showing the beauty of compound interest, right? The rule of 72, time value of money. Every interest percentage makes a difference, and it's not just additional, it really works more exponentially. So I love being able to illustrate these numbers simply. This was on moneychimp.com, and I'm going to back out of this. We're going to stop sharing, come back here. Everybody's still tracking, everybody's with me. And I'm going to show you a couple of actual illustrations. What if we were putting money into these life insurance policies, and what does that look like? So let me get to the first one here. And this first one I'm going to show you is I took a 40-year-old. I just took a 40-year-old, somebody that is really investing for business, and they're putting away about $100,000 a year. But as I show this to you, and there we go, it's showing up now. I want you to know that the maximum permitted illustrated rate is 6.3%. So that is all this is illustrated at. Historically, these are going to be performing between 8 and 12% or more. You can see historical averages over here of some of the different indices that we can link, that we can allocate our money in this life insurance account to. And you could see that it's significantly more than 6.3%, significantly more, but I'm only illustrating at 6.3. All of that to say, these are conservative numbers. Let's see if we got to the right page. Oh, I'm so close. Good. All right, so this is a sea of numbers, and I'm going to walk you through it, and I will definitely take questions later, because I imagine you might have some. So this was for a 40-year-old. I just put a 40-year-old male in this example, and the specified amount is how much life insurance is holding this money. The way that these are properly structured is you want to size the policy according to how much money somebody is going to put in if they're properly structured. So if you go to the grocery store and just buy a pack of juicy fruit, you might get one of those little tiny paper sacks. Maybe they don't have them anymore. Those little penny candy paper sacks, just a little tiny bag to put your juicy fruit in, and then you go on your way. But if you were going to the grocery store and buying French bread and celery and all kinds of other stuff, you're going to get a big full-size grocery bag. I'm picturing those big paper bags. So in the same sense, if you're going to put away a lot of money, you need a bigger policy. If you're putting away a little money, you need a little policy. And I made this one as small as it could possibly be for the amount of money he wants to put in. So the required amount of insurance to wrap up this money was $1.88 million. So let's see. This 40-year-old is going to be putting away $100,000 a year. And I've got people putting away more money than that a year. There are people that put away $1 million a year. I've got people that put away $3,000 a year. So it goes the whole range. These can be used accordingly. We structure them accordingly. And I only had him funding, I guess he was just funding through age 59. And then he's like, okay, I'm out. Then he's not funding it anymore starting at age 60. This column right here is the age. So he had put away about $1.9 million during that time. But if I go back up to this first page, we say the accumulated value is the dollars that are growing inside the policy. The net surrender value, here's your liquidity. This is the liquidity. These are the dollars that can be leveraged, that can be borrowed. You can get them loaned. You can take out the cash for whatever the reason. It doesn't have to be a business purpose. It might be, hey, it's our 25th anniversary and we're going on that round the world cruise or whatever it is. So The money is liquid. This is why this is a powerful tool. All the money in here, it's got all those protections that I talked about. Protected from market loss, protected from creditors, predators, and probate, right? Day one, this person puts their first payment in. Maybe he put in 100,000 up at once. Maybe he only put in like a monthly payment. What was, they don't have the monthly listed down here. Maybe he just made that very first payment, and then the next day he went out and got hit by a Mack truck. For some reason, it's always a Mack truck, right? The insurance company is on the line to pay out the death benefit. And what is the death benefit? Remember, it is the amount of life insurance, 1.88 million, excuse me. The life insurance plus the cash value. So the 1.88 million plus the 90,273, that is going to pay out in its entirety tax-free to the beneficiaries. And the beneficiaries can be a person, it could be a trust, it could be a nonprofit. All right. So net surrender value, again, these are the dollars that are liquid and accessible. And I want you to notice by the end of year 4, he's put in $400,000 and he's already profitable. He's already profitable. He's got over $406,000. And somebody might say, that's really not very much growth. But I'm going to say, hang on a second here. This account is already profitable. And what he has purchased with that is he's got a permanent life insurance policy, $1.8 million worth of life insurance that he's got. He's purchased the ability to double, triple, and quadruple dip his dollars for the rest of his life, to be his own bank, to have access to that money, and to have all the tax advantages that come with it now and forevermore. That's what he gets for that. Now, I want to go down here. If this account were strictly used to, okay, 4 minutes, good to know. Good to know. 4 minutes, Kim, is left for presentation. Is that when Q&A starts, or have I used up all the time?
Yeah, that's when we are to exit our breakout rooms. Okay.
He's got $1.9 million that he's put away, and he's got the projected, the conservative 6.3 rate of return is showing $3.266 million. That is all tax advantage, tax-free money. Now, if I say this thing is going to, say conservatively return between 8 and 12%, let's say it's only 8%, 3.266412 times 0.08%. That means he's going to get out of this account, if he just lives off the interest, $261,312.96. I should turn this back on so you could see. Well, I can't do that. $261,000 a year in tax-free income. Tax-free income, and that's going to come out every single year, and he's still going to be leaving behind for his family over $4 million in tax advantage, $5 million in tax-free money. I'm going to stop really quick. I did not realize the time went by that fast, but I want people to feel free to ask questions.
I'll jump in there and say thank you, though, for real, because I know it does. Everyone's like, 45 minutes, that's a long time until you get in there, and then it keeps going. So definitely, if you guys don't, if you want to ask questions offline, Melanie, you'll put your info in the chat too.
Absolutely. Let me do that right now.
I will definitely say that Melanie has helped us. Like we had, what was it? Like a term, no living benefits, anything like that. So we just, Melanie, I wasn't called like, is it called like rolling over? Melanie went in there and worked her magic, got us more benefit, or what's the word? More.
We got you more coverage. So
more coverage, cheaper premium with living benefits. So, yeah, definitely a testimony here.
Change it from death insurance to actual life insurance. That would benefit her. There's books written about what I just tried to squeeze into those 40 minutes right there, books. So you got it coming out really fast and furious. I can recommend some books, but also a conversation with me. We can go over anything, but I'm happy to answer some questions or anything. Christian, do you have one? I know you're off mute, so that makes you seem like you're ready to ask.
I actually have a mute button on my microphone.
Vicky.
Uh, no real questions at this moment. Actually, do you recommend any specific book for us to go through and take a look at
Yeah.
and take notes from?
Yes, absolutely. So,
If she shares this one. This one? Are you gonna share
here we
with
go.
she shared? I was like, oh, I'm gonna order it right now. Like, what is this you're talking about? So this one's a quick read too. So
Yeah, The Retirement Miracle, and Patrick Kelly, The Retirement Miracle talks about this kind of tool, this kind of policy. But I'll tell you, strategizing for taxes is going to be a bigger and bigger and bigger deal. So this book, David McKnight, I recommend anything by David McKnight. He is extremely balanced. He is an industry expert, and he's talking about how you can work your way to the zero tax bracket, or at least like one of the women that I work with, she shoots for the 12% tax bracket. But we've got to strategize, because if I'm going to ask you this question, what do you think the highest tax bracket ever was in the history of our country? And I'll tell you right now, the highest income tax bracket is 37%. But what do you think the highest bracket ever was? Somebody guess.
I would imagine back in the late 70s, it was over 60%.
Okay. Do we have any other guesses? Highest tax bracket ever?
I'm going to say 90 if you were at the very, like, the
Doesn't
last
that
little
sound
bit of your
sick
income.
though? Maureen, doesn't it sound just sick? Like, can you
Well,
imagine?
that's a little, that's the top part of your income. That's not all of your income.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not all of your income, but that's over
Yeah.
the threshold. And Maureen, you're actually closest. I mean, 94%.
Oof.
That was the highest tax bracket.
Wow.
And that was back in 1944 to 46. And Ronald Reagan was an actor. And he would make $250,000 a year, and he would stop working. He said, I am not going to make another dime for the rest of the year, because I'm not going to work for a penny and a nickel. So, okay, then there it goes. So I'm open. I did put my phone number in the chat. You've got my email address there, but I'm glad to answer questions and just strategize and review things. There are other tools. There are fixed index annuities. There are policies with living benefits. There are final expense. There are trusts, all kinds of tools that we work with together, strategically together, to address one's overall finances. So that's what we're hoping and working to do. But I appreciate the mastermind coming together and people bringing their different skills here today. Kim, thank you so much for asking me.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
help us, and I just hope you can help others. All right,
Thank you,
I'm gonna jump to the
Melanie.
main room before
Okay.
we can be there.